Okay guys, so here we go. We got ourselves another bike video. Of course, this one here is not my own personal bike. This is not one that I have ridden. So before you guys leave comments of how that I abuse my bikes and how I'm rough on my bikes, I repeat myself, this is not one of my bikes that I have ridden. This is a parts bike that I picked up that some kid or some person did not appreciate and, well, rode the heck out of it. So of course we have ourselves a supercycle holigan. Of course this was sold through Canadian Tires. Now of course this one here has 26 inch wheels. It is a 21 speed. So you know, at one time it was a nice bike. Full suspension, of course, frame. It has the well, really nice off-road front suspension fork. Now when you spin the front wheel, it's got a slight wobble to it, but there's probably about a 1/8 of an inch play in the bearings, so therefore you know, it's been well ridden and not overly maintained. One thing I like about it is it has a fairly reasonable you know, grip shift or shifter system on it. You know, I could pull this off and use it for parts on another bike. Not 100% sure about pulling the fork out of her, but I might do it and add it to the collection. I do have 2 or 3 more forks just like this one. As well as, of course, one of the pet peeves I have about full suspension bikes is when you're a short person, you put the seat all the way down. Well, the seat connects with the swing arm here, which effectively turns your full suspension bike into a hardtail because it doesn't let the shock at all basically travel. And of course the reason why I got this bike was, well, due to lack of maintenance. You see the derailleur is, well, on the wrong side of the frame. The derailleur is not supposed to be pointing that side up. It's supposed to be pointing the other way. So therefore, of course, it was overshifted into the spokes. Wrap the derailleur around the frame, chances are it bent a rim and basically renders the bike as well, parts. So pretty much, guys, I'm going to get at her, give this bike a little bit of a strip out. I'll probably take you along for the ride, and away we go. Okay, so first things first, let's start on this wonderful back derailleur here. Well, we'll undo the cable here. And of course, just give the cable itself a yank. It's well, now officially unattached from the derailleur. Now of course we have to undo the little cogs or so out of the derailleur so we can get the chain, well, out of there. So of course just give that a good old spin. Now it depends on how well worn this derailleur is. Sometimes you can save the cogs for another bike because you do get one once in a while with a broken one. Or sometimes if they've been well ridden in, you know, dirt, mud, not maintained properly, they're actually ground down, worn down to the point where really they're not going to grip much of anything. Now sometimes there's a spring in this derailleur that once you relieve the tension, it tends to spring back or out of the way. Just keep your fingers free just in case it decides to do that. This one here looks like it's wrapped around enough that the spring itself has let go, and it shouldn't do that this time. So once you got that little bolt out, kind of give the derailleur itself a little bit of a twist. You got to separate both halves of the derailleur, kind of like that. When things are bent, they do get a little bit awkward to, well, get to work for you. So when things are this badly bent, the next thing I'm going to do is unbolt the derailleur itself right from the frame. Now most derailleurs nowadays, they bolt up to the frame with that little ear like that. Some of the older ones, they went around the axle nut with a little keeper bolt on them. So of course, with your little wrench set again, undo that bolt. Sometimes if things are bent enough, you know, that'll fight you too, because it actually can strip you know, the frame of the bicycle itself, you know, cross the threads, stuff like that. Which I'm wondering if that's the case in, well, this one here too. There you go. Now you've seen how it sprung. Now you've seen how it sprung back. Well, that's that little spring I was talking about. You know, if your hand would have been resting there, you know, that might have hurt a little. Now, of course, remember when I was mentioning about the two halves? Just get that little bolt out of there, and of course with the tension off, it's very, very easy. Chain pops out and the derailleur goes for scrap. Now there are some good parts on that derailleur. You can keep the parts, you know, to fix up other ones, or you can just toss it and, well, you know, not have it cluttering up your workbench. Now I'm not 100% if the camera is going to pick this one up, but if you can see her there, you see how that rim travels toward the brakes or the frame a bit. Kind of wanders there. Well, that basically tells me it's bent. Now you might be able to true this rim, get her a little bit back to where she should be. You know, if you needed one for your parts, or, you know, parts collection or so. But, you know, when you got 3 or 4 sets of them, then, well, these kind of become, you know, not as important. Now, of course, you could pull the brakes off it, you know, keep those aside for another bike, because sometimes you do get one with a broken one of these or missing one altogether. It's nice to have. The seat itself on this guy here is no good. It has been replaced at one time. It does have a Norco seat on it. It should have something else. Of course, the seat post itself, I'm guessing has been, you know, when the seat was fixed, they put the seat post on in reverse, but whatever. But we could keep the clamp because, well, you know, sometimes you do get a bike where you need one, whether the clamp is broke or it doesn't have it. If you want to keep the seat post, you're more than welcome to, you know, add it to the hoard. And of course, me being me, I've been keeping these little shocks or springs out of every full suspension bike I've took apart. I don't know, someday maybe I'll make something out of it, or whatever's right. But I'll probably undo the handlebars from here and basically just pull it up and off. Maybe just leave the fork attached to the bike, because really I don't really need it, because like I said, I do have parts forks. This one here will be just, given its condition, it'll be just in the way. So of course, to undo the handlebars, what I like to do is start with by cutting these little cable end clamps. Basically what they do is they prevent the cable from fraying, and unfortunately when you go to undo it, you can't pull it back on through the housing. But sometimes you do get lucky and you can just unhook it all and take it all out in one piece. Other than that, that's pretty much straightforward. So basically, guys, I'll throw you in fast forward mode here, and well, we'll get this bike stripped. Okay guys, so we got those cables all strung through, so there's not a single cable left in the frame. Now it's time to, well, attack the handlebars. Now if you just wanted the bars off of it, there's 2 bolts on the front of the stem. You just undo, the bars come off. If you want the stem itself, you undo these 2 bolts here, as well as the top bolt at the top, and then she lifts right off. If you were dealing with a standard bike without the double crown fork, without this fancy type of fork, once you undid the stem, the fork would fall out as well. So of course we will twist these guys loose, And then we'll undo the bolt, of course, at the top. This one here will have to take basically right out. Now on this particular bike, I'm not going to keep this little gold washer with the headset or the bike, because, well, you know, it's going to go in the parts bin, nice aluminum. Some of the cheaper bikes I've seen, that little washer is actually plastic of all things. So, you know, it does break over time. So now basically the bars should just twist right off. Basically like that. And, well, goes in the, and then she goes in the parts collection. So on this particular bike, if you wanted to drop the fork, basically you undo, well, this bolt here, that bolt there, and then that one there, and you might have to take off these plastic caps, and then the whole thing will drop right down. There are bearings in here. If you're planning on reusing them or replacing the bearings, you might want to be careful, as well as the headset. You might want to keep it as well, because the bike you're putting this fork into might be slightly you know, different for height wise. So pretty much, guys, I'll take off some little extra stuff that I want here, and then we'll see you when the frame is, well, ready for the scrap pile. Well, guys, there you go. That's pretty much all left of a supercycle hooligan after I've took off all the parts that I wanted. Now, of course, both rims are bent, so therefore they're really no good for me. Like I mentioned, you could true the back one if you needed to. Because the derailleur wrapped around the chain is bent. Of course, you could keep the cranks if you had to, but they're, well, really well worn. I suppose you could probably scuff those down and paint them if you needed to. You could keep the front derailleur, but I already have you know, 3 or 4 of those in my parts room, as well as the front fork. You know, you could keep that as well, but you know, I'm gonna let that one go. Now both tires are very weather checked. They are even a mismatched set, and even the rims are a mismatched rim set as well. So you know, just all that go. The tubes themselves seem to be fairly good. You could hang on to them if you wanted to. Again, you know, I'm going to let them go because I have ample, you know, selection. But pretty much, guys, all in all, you know, disassembling a bike is fairly easy, especially if you know how to do it. You know the shortcuts, and well, you don't let it intimidate you. But pretty much, guys, this is all that I want off this bicycle, and away to the scrap pile she goes. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.